So, you've signed up for the GRC Showcase, and now you've got to make a video. I'm Dr. Vaughn Stewart, the director of the Digital Act Studio, and I'm here to give you some guidance and help on that. We're going to be going through a few main things. We're going to look at the requirements for this video, and then we're going to talk about ways that you can go about finishing it. We'll work through some best practices for digital presentations, and then we'll go specifically through workflows in order to help you get something successfully done on time. So to start, let's talk about requirements. I'm sure that you all have gone to the graduate school website and looked through these requirements for yourself. Make sure that you read all of the information there. Let's pull out the crucial requirements for today's video. So length, it has to be 4 to 7 minutes. In terms of delivery, you've got to put it up on YouTube. You can do this with your UNCG account. Just make sure that it is unlisted. It also has to be captioned. YouTube does this automatically, but you should also go into the caption menu and make sure that things like punctuation are correct. Finally, notice that you do not have to appear in the video. So if you are concerned or worried or anxious about sort of setting up a studio environment in your own home in order to film this, you don't necessarily have to. You actually have multiple avenues for the things that you can produce. Most common, people will likely produce a narrated slideshow like a PowerPoint or something like that. You can, if you would like to, take a video of yourself. You may have to edit this in a video editor in order to make sure that your content is presented and you can put things on the screen when you want to, but you can highly produce something if you'd like. Finally, you can also use a host of online tools in order to make sort of an animated kinetic text video. If you look for video makers or marketing video makers from things like Canva, Vimeo, Biteable, all of these things will allow you to make, essentially, a more dynamic and kinetic slideshow that you can ultimately export as a video and then upload to YouTube. But before we get into actually how to produce these different types of media, let's set a solid foundation by thinking about the presentation itself. There are some concerns about crafting your presentation that you should attend to first. Oftentimes, the content, the structure, and the delivery need to be attenuated for the general audience of the GRC Showcase. This is not an audience of other PhDs in the field. This is supposed to be a general audience. In terms of content, you may want to include things like personal anecdotes about how you got interested in this research that create a much more ready and easy connection with your audience. In terms of structure, you may want to think about getting away from an academic structure of introduction, methods, results, discussion, and conclusion, and using something more applicable to the audience. Perhaps you talk about how you got interested in this in the first place, and then the story of how your research developed in sort of a narrative structure. Given the general audience, you may also structure things away from that standard academic structure and use something more like making a claim, then supporting it with evidence, and finally discussing the applicability of your research for a general audience. In terms of delivery, you want to make sure that your delivery is crafted to be free from jargon. And you also want to make sure that your general tone is very friendly and approachable for a general audience. And if you ever feel like you need help in order to craft the speech content of your presentation in a way that really does meet a general audience, I would highly recommend that you schedule a consultation with the Speaking Center on campus. They can really help make sure that your speech is meeting your audience. Now, keeping those requirements and those presentation issues in mind, we're going to talk about the various types of things you can produce and the workflows you would use to produce them. Along the way, we're also going to bring up some particular presentation issues that might happen depending on what you produce. Now, for all things, you will probably follow these steps. The first thing is to prep your speech. Craft your content in a way that is going to reach your audience. Once you've got that, you want to record it, whether it's a video or audio narration for something like an animated video. Once you have your video sort of done, you need to export it in a format that is going to enable you to upload it to YouTube. So this general workflow is going to manifest in different ways depending on what you produce. We're going to start with one of the easier things to produce, an animated video from an online video maker. Now, we can't go through every type of online video maker there is, but I'm just going to highlight a few commonly used ones. I would highly encourage you to check out all of the ones that I'll mention and see which one looks best for you. Now, most of these are structured in a way that they take in actual video content, so if you did record yourself giving your presentation, you could also incorporate that. Most of them also have not a GRC Showcase feel, but often sort of a marketing or promo feel, or even an Instagram post feel. So some of them may work better or worse for your content. One of them is built into Canva. It has a lot of templates that you can use and a lot of different things that you can do with it. Another one is Vimeo Create. Vimeo, a YouTube competitor, is a very popular video sharing platform, and it allows you to upload, edit, and create sort of promo videos if you'd like. Adobe Creative Cloud Express is where Adobe Spark ended up. That used to be an online video editor, and you can still find one there under adobe.com/express/create/video. However, it seems like Adobe doesn't really want to support this product much anymore. Biteable is another possible option if you want to use an online video maker. It creates a little bit more presentation-like videos than something like Vimeo Create. I'd also recommend checking out Visme, which has a lot of options for setting text and other elements on the screen at one time and creating overall sort of a more animated and kinetic feel. If you like this type of thing, this sort of animated kinetic video, I would recommend starting with Canva. Remember though, regardless of what you choose, you're going to need to make sure that you're able to download an MP4 file of this video in order to upload it to YouTube. So there may be other video makers that you can find that might look better to you, but make sure that you are able to use them and export the video as something that you need. Also, be careful. Many of these video editors operate on a freemium license structure. This means that they likely will watermark your video, and unless you pay them money, they're not going to take that watermark off. So if that is going to be a distraction to your content, make sure that you choose one that's not going to do that to you. The best bit of advice is to sign up for whatever free plan you have, and then just try making a really brief video in that video maker. Look at the export and see if that does what you'd like it to do, and if it's packaged in a way that works for you. The next category of thing that you could create is just more of a narrated slideshow. You've probably seen these a lot. In PowerPoint, it actually has a functionality built into it under the Slideshow tab called Record Slideshow. And honestly, PowerPoint is going to be the easiest way to create just a standard narrated slideshow. In that Record Slideshow area, you can turn on or off your webcam and turn on and off your microphone. Again, since for this showcase you don't need to appear on the video, you can decide whether or not you want your webcam on. As you present throughout the slideshow, it is going to record your video and/or audio, and it is also going to record the timings for your presentation. Once you're done and click through to the very end, it will ask you if you want to save those timings. Of course, click yes. Once those timings are saved, you can use PowerPoint to export the entire slideshow as a video itself. This video can be uploaded to YouTube very easily. There are other tools you can use to record your slideshow, and we'll get to them in a second, but they often get into recording your video content as well. So we're going to look at the third option here of recording a video of yourself. Perhaps the easiest way to do this and integrate it with some slideshow content is to use something like Zoom and just record the presentation that you give. You can also use a tool like Prezi. Prezi now allows you to overlay some of your content on top of a video of yourself. If you would like to present a full screen video of your face while your content is appearing over on the right, for example, you can now do that with Prezi. Finally, you may just want to set up a recording of yourself talking into camera, delivering your speech that you are then going to edit later by inserting various elements, various images in order to create your final presentation. This is perhaps the hardest thing to do because it would require you to use a video editor. However, it can also provide incredible flexibility in terms of the final thing that you create. For all of these possibilities, when you start recording video of yourself, you should make sure that you are getting as high quality video as you can. This doesn't mean just adjusting the settings on your phone or your computer. It also means you're thinking intentionally about how you're framing yourself, how you're connecting with your audience, how you're conditioning your environment in order to be good for audio and video recording. Often, the most immediate concern is making sure that you are framed well when you film yourself, as you can see here. One of the most important concepts to have in your mind as you are creating videos for yourself, especially ones to put in a presentation, is to know your framing and to frame yourself well. What I mean by framing is how you fill the frame as you are recording. This is both how you position yourself to the camera in order to maximize, the amount of space that is taken up by you talking into the camera, and also paying attention to your background. I doubt you're going to be in front of a green screen where you can change it to literally whatever you would like to. But be cognizant of what is going on in your background. Make sure it's not distracting. For framing yourself in terms of how you are looking into the camera, you want to make sure that you are using relatively tight framing. Especially when embedding this in a presentation, people expect it to be tightly framed. Now, what does that mean, tight framing? It means that you don't have a lot of negative space or dead space around the subject that you are shooting. Frequently, what I find is that students will often not get their head sort of close to the top of the frame. Instead, for some reason, they feel much more comfortable if they are way down here. Now, you can also see another aspect of framing that is an issue when you do that, just centering. In general, you want to remain fairly centered in front of the camera. Also, make sure to look straight into the camera lens. This makes an audience member on the other side feel like you are talking directly to them, as opposed to someone over on the side over there. So, when you are framing yourself to record yourself for inclusion in a presentation, make sure that you tightly frame yourself, that you don't leave a bunch of negative space between the top of your head and the top of the frame. Make sure that you are centered up, and make sure that you look into the camera. It's also crucial that you select a good environment in which to film. Make sure that you have good light, that it's not too echoey, that it's a quiet space, and that you aren't likely to be interrupted, as you can see here. When filming any video, it's important to find a good environment, as it's going to have a huge impact on the final quality of your production. First, choose a place that has an appropriate background for your video. Find a setting that isn't too distracting, or perhaps unprofessional. Think critically about the tone you're going for, and how your setting will support that. You can't control or predict what other people might do, so it's best to avoid a situation where others might walk into frame, or open a door behind you. Second, pay attention to your lighting, as you'll want a well-lit and evenly lit environment. One that's not so bright that you're blown out or there's a distracting glare, but not so dark that it's difficult to fully make things out. Avoid standing in front of bright windows, as you'll either have a halo or be silhouetted. And try to make sure that the light is sort of coming from an angle in front of you, as direct overhead lighting can cause shadows. Finally, background audio is another important factor to keep in mind. Make sure you're in a quiet place to film, where air conditioning, or background voices, or street noise won't filter through. You also want to find a place where there's not too much echo, where you don't have to shout. Whenever you've chosen a good spot for filming, always check by shooting a brief test video. Make sure to listen to the test video with headphones on so you can hear any potentially distracting noise in the environment. So, you have a lot of different options in terms of creating a video for the GRC Showcase. You can use an online video maker. You can submit a slideshow that you've narrated. You can film yourself, or you can do a hybrid of filming yourself and cutting it with a slideshow, for example. All of these things are going to attenuate that general workflow in a few ways. If you're using an online video maker, well, obviously you need to prepare your content first, but you also may need to record your audio before really getting into the video editor. This is of course going to depend on which type of video maker you choose, but it can be useful to record your speech and just have it as an audio asset in order to import it into your video maker. Since those online video makers can also sometimes have fairly peculiar user interfaces, I would encourage you to not put off getting into the actual production in the video maker until later. Once you have your stuff prepped, I would encourage you to start messing around inside that video maker so that you know whether or not it is going to do all of the types of things you need it to do in order to create this video. Also, as I mentioned before, make sure that you export a test video in whatever video maker you're using to ensure that it is going to output a format that you can ultimately upload to YouTube. If you are recording a narrated slideshow in PowerPoint, part of your speech preparation is going to be sort of finalizing your slides. The actual recording of your media is going to be done in the record slideshow area itself. One benefit to using PowerPoint, however, is that it does allow you to re-record your speech or your video on a particular slide. So you don't have to get everything correct in one go, but you can revise on the fly. If you are going to film a video of yourself and integrate it with other media, I would encourage you as part of your preparation of your speech to also do an environment preparation. Look through wherever you work and see if you can create a space that is going to provide a quiet area for audio recording, that is going to provide good light in order for you to take a video of yourself. Shoot a test video of you just talking about what you ate for breakfast and watch it back with headphones on. Listen to make sure that your audio is loud and clear and that your lighting is good. You don't want to invest a lot of time into recording a video of yourself only to watch it back and realize I can't really use this. So make sure you do a test video so that you don't have that unfortunate realization later. The final thing I want to talk about in workflow does sort of apply to everything. It's about exporting your video and uploading it to YouTube. So when you export your video, it is going to come in one of a few different file formats. The most flexible file format is going to end in .mp4. If you can export it as a .mp4, great, do that. If it's going to be a .mov, that's also going to be fine as well. What you want to make sure is that it is not some odd proprietary format that, say, an online video maker is going to export. Once you have that file on your computer, you're going to need to upload it to YouTube. You can go to YouTube and log in with your UNCG account. There's an upload video button in the top right corner, and that's going to sort of walk you through everything you need to do. When you upload it, it's going to ask you if you want it to be public, unlisted, or private. For this showcase, you're going to want it to be unlisted. What that means is that anybody can see the video as long as they have the exact YouTube address. YouTube is not going to index the video. So if I looked for Vaughn Stewart GRC Showcase video, it won't come up in that search. But if somebody does have the entire YouTube address, they are able to find the video. Since these videos are going to be published on the graduate school's website, make sure that you talk to your faculty mentors about what content you are going to be able to put up. Because even though they won't be public in the search, they will still be easily findable through the graduate school website. Lastly, in that upload to YouTube, eventually you should edit the captions. Captions will be automatically generated, but will lack things like punctuation and capitalization. In YouTube Studio, go over to the subtitles and captions and select your video. An editor will come up allowing you to clean up the automatic transcription that was done. The automatic transcription generally does a good job, but you should still give it a once over in order to make sure that your video is accessible. So, your mission of creating a 4 to 7 minute presentation for a general audience may seem daunting at first. But as I hope you feel now, you actually have plenty of options in order to tackle this project. The thing I want to end with is that you are not alone in working on this. You, of course, have your advisor to talk through content. You can also leverage the Speaking Center, for example. I also want to highlight the area that I direct, the Digital Act Studio, which is on the lower level of Jackson Library. We can do online or face-to-face consultations as well in order to help you make this video effective for whatever audience you have. We work at all points in the design process, so if you're just starting out and want to discuss with somebody your general ideas and how you might manifest them on a video, you're more than welcome to schedule a consultation with us. We work all the way through the end, so if you sort of create a video and want feedback on how to tweak it to be the best that it can be, we can work with you then as well. You can schedule consultations either face-to-face or online using our website or going directly to digitalactstudio.uncg.edu/appt. I know, especially if you've never produced a video before, that it can seem like a daunting task. But if you take it step by step, if you think about preparing your research in its content, its structure, and its delivery for a general audience, then you think about how you want to create your media. You can get into a particular platform. Perhaps you want something that ends up looking a little bit more dynamic, like a video maker. Perhaps you want something familiar, like just using PowerPoint. Or perhaps you want to go all out and really try to create sort of a professional-looking video of yourself talking to camera. We can help you along the way, regardless of where you feel like you're technically starting.